What's going on, everybody? Josh, starterraingutterbusiness.com. Today we're going to be doing a video for you guys on expansion and contraction of gutters. So we're going to kind of go over a few things that I've seen in the past, and then show you guys some remedies that we use to battle expansion and contraction. So just to give you guys some examples of what I'm talking about here. For one, aluminum has the highest expansion contraction rate with temperature. So I don't know if I know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but at 100 feet, an aluminum gutter will expand or contract up to 1 inch. So that means your ends will be moving 1/2 inch each, or if you have just like a fixed hanger system, the center is trying to like push itself together, and kind of the whole thing's attached to the building, which is wood and does not expand and contract with temperature. And so it's like trying to move around on this fixed surface, and it can't. So when you get into those longer gutter stretches and you live in a climate that the temperature varies drastically between winter and summer, and even day and night, the more that gutter is expanding, contracting, the faster it's going to wear stuff out and or could fail, break. So the one example that sticks out in my head is on the front of a Cracker Barrel building. I worked on the front of a Cracker Barrel building. Somebody had put up a 120-foot gutter, one piece, had like, I don't know, 3 or 4 downspouts on it probably, just like a front shed roof on a storefront. So this thing it's 120 feet, like I said, and it had 3 different spots in it where the front of the gutter actually moved around so much it kinked itself, and then it would expand, contract, expand, contract, expand, contract, and that kink in aluminum, it fatigues quicker than steel. So it flexes, 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 and then it'll just crack around the whole gutter. So then you'll have a leak. And then they also don't look very good because then it's like causing bulges on the front of the gutter. And there's 3 of them. So there's one in the center, and then one about 1/3 and 2/3 down the gutter, something like that. So, anyways, just to give you guys an example of a real life situation where I've seen this play out. The other thing that expansion contraction will do is it'll make the bottom of the gutter, they call it oil canning. So it'll ripple the bottom of the gutter. So you put up a gutter when it's super cold out, and then it warms up quite a bit. That gutter is trying to find somewhere to go, but it's attached to the building. And so that metal will ripple because that doesn't have anywhere to go. So it just makes waves in the bottom of the gutter, which is the flat. It's a flat bottom, so just ripple it really bad. It's called oil canning. So a couple ways that we solve this problem are, the simplest way to do it is, this would be like on our your new construction contractor package, where they're not wanting to put in a lot of money into this thing, but they want them to hold up well and work like they should. So anything over 50 feet on K-style, and these problems happen worse with darker colors because darker colors heat up more in the sun. So like a darker color, 45 feet, white doesn't do it as bad, so like I'll usually cheat it up to 55 feet, something like that. Anything bigger than that, what you'll want to do on a contractor package job is, this is what we call just a standard expansion joint. So you usually have 2 downspouts, 1 on each end in this situation. And these are just scrap gutters I grabbed out of the dump box, so don't hurt me too bad on them. But these are just attached. You leave a little bit of room here for them to have some play. So just imagine this is a 80-foot run we're doing. So we basically split this into 2 separate gutters, hang 2 40-footers, downspout on each one, so they're both draining, and just have an expansion joint in the middle. So it's just a separate end cap. You're making 2 gutters, hanging them separately, And then what you'll do is just put a little bridge under these, in between these end caps. So I usually just use the back of the gutter, take a scrap that you've been cutting corners and stuff all day, so you have a scrap in the back in your trailer or van. Just grab the chunk off the back of the gutter, bend it kind of like concaved a little bit, and then put these two little, we call it a bridge, just a bridge on an expansion joint. Put these two guys on there. These are, the reason I make these in two pieces is so the first one you can slide in. Normally there's a drip edge and a roof right here, so you can't get in there very easily. So you take your first piece, slide it in there, and that ties in these two front gutter lips. So that way you don't have gutters like tipped with each other, so they can tip with each other and they don't tip independently. So that ties them together so they stay in one line, and then just use another piece in the back, slid under the drip edge. And then usually what I'll do is just 2 zip screws on these, and I only screw them to one end cap so that the gutters can still move independently. If you screw them into both end caps, what it'll do is through expansion contraction, it'll flex those end caps, when those gutters are moving, and eventually your end caps will fail. So just screw them to one end cap, one of the gutters, just pick one. And you just screw through your layers of metal into one of the top flaps of your end caps. All right, option number 2. This is a rubber expansion joint. And I rarely use these because I really don't like them. But in some situations you do need to use them. So this is mainly if you need to get all the water one way. You can't do the regular expansion joint that I showed earlier, and so you have to get the water to run through this expansion joint. So what you do is, I don't even have one here. So how these work is you mount one gutter. The instruction manual on them, which they don't come with, took me a while to find a manual to put these things in, but they recommend like 1.5 inch overlap. So what you're doing is you're overlapping your gutters. In order to do that, you notch the front lip of your second gutter that you're installing. And I like to cut a little ramp on the face of the gutter when I'm seaming 2 gutters together like this, because what that does is kind of wedges the gutter into place so it kind of fits tighter. So and obviously doing this on the roof is super fun, or on a ladder. So get them wedged together, leave a little gap up here. Like I said, these things look terrible. They don't work that good. They're hard to seal. They wear out fast. Not my favorite, if you can't tell. So anyways, you get your gutters seamed together like this. Hangers are a little far apart. You never screw both gutters together because this joint allows these gutters to move separately. And then you go to the inside and you drop this rubber expansion joint in the inside, right over your seam, and you screw and glue the expansion joint into each gutter. So the idea is that way there's a rubber seam over this sleeved section, and it allows everything to move still. And that rubber can either absorb that shock. So anyways, just wanted to show you guys that option. I've used a few of them, have had to go back and fix a few of them. So not the greatest way to do it. And they're expensive. They're like $50 or something for just for the part. So then then you got to charge $150 for this thing that's not even going to work very good. So one thing I did forget to mention on our normal expansion joint, I don't charge any extra for these personally. That cover is just made out of scrap metal. They're super fast and easy to install, and it's basically just like hanging 2 separate gutters. So I don't even charge any extra for these expansion joints. I just tell the customer, this is going to help with the longevity of your gutter life, and usually they're fine with it after they're aware of you make them aware of the expansion contraction issues. So, okay, option number 3, snap lock. I really like snap lock. It's been a good product for us. Basically, I've talked about it a couple times on different videos, but put up a rail, gutter snaps into that rail, and it allows for a free floating gutter that's still attached to your building. They never oil can. That gutter can grow and shrink as it needs, so you never see ripples on the bottom of your gutter, which is really nice. The other thing is there's no holes directly through the gutter into the fascia, so you don't have any problems with water transferring from the gutter into the fascia. So the clips on snap lock also leave a little breathing barrier behind the gutter, so if any moisture does get back in there, it's allowed to breathe. And you know, the only time water causes problems when it's trapped somewhere and something's always moist. So if something can dry out when it's warm out, even if it gets moisture, sometimes it's usually not going to cause issues. All right, I went and found my little display for you guys. So what you have is the gutter truss. These come in 10 footers. This gutter truss goes on, gets leveled as it's installed. There's pre-punched holes every 2 feet. You leave a 1/4 inch gap in between each rail. So once the rail's up, you run out the gutter, get your gutter measurement. You have to use fully clipped gutter hangers. So gutter hangers fully clipped, clip those on every 20 inches, whatever you normally do in your area. And then you put on gutter clips on, I put them dead center in between each hanger. So they don't have to be measured out or anything, just throw them in the center of each hanger. And then Snap-Lock makes a set of Malco crimpers to crimp these onto the gutter. So each clip gets 2 crimps. I know it doesn't seem like it would, at least to me, it doesn't seem like that would be enough, metal crimped on to where they would hold up. But I don't think I've ever actually seen one of these rip off of the gutter, which is pretty wild. So anyways, then once your gutter's made, clips are crimped and on, gutter's done, then you come over to the building, bring your gutter over there, and it just snaps into place. So pretty sweet setup. Like I said, allows for expansion contraction. I've hung gutters, I don't know, probably like 150 foot gutters with this stuff, and it works really well. So if you guys want to see a full demonstration on installing one of these, I did a video we'll put up in the corner of the screen that I think it was 2 100-foot gutters that we installed, just because I didn't want to put up a 200-foot gutter. So, but Snap-Lock would handle it. So anyways, there's my 3 options. If I forgot anything, make sure and burn me in the comments. If you guys have any better ways of doing this, or have seen, maybe certain situations that something else worked better, make sure and let me know. What this comes down to when you're installing is, for one, what the customer wants to put on their project, and for you as an installer, what you feel comfortable with doing. And anyways, now you got some options. So obviously the 2 end caps butted together, cheapest way to do it, if you can, as long as you can get water to both ends of the building. Snap-Lock is the best option, but it does double the cost of your gutters. So that's really the only downfall. In the long term, obviously Snap-Lock is going to save you money in the long term. As long as that gutter doesn't get damaged by a tree or, backing into it through U-Haul or whatever, Snap-Lock is definitely the better option. That rail, just so you know, also is reusable. So if you have to replace a gutter on this, the reason I put those clips in the middle in between the hangers is you can use I use like a 1-foot pry bar, and you can pry the rail open to release that clip. It's not fun, but you can start at one end of the gutter, release all those clips, tap the rail back to the normal uniform gap, I believe it's 3/8, and then you make a new gutter, put new clips on, boom, reuse the rail. So that's another benefit of it. Thanks for watching. Make sure and like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next one.